Hello fellow Pokepals, today I've got a battle against Dropper24, which I got from the Smogon Battle Finder, which is an excellent resource if you're looking for battles. No longer do you have to go on Cerebi and be like, hey, LF battle, LOLJK. So to start off the battle, I send in Jeffrey, hoping to intimidate something that would not like being intimidated. Instead, I get a hit Pizza Hut or his Hydreigon, and I'm not going to be able to do much to that. So I switch into Sponge, who should be able to sponge any special hit, and it works out well. As he goes for the U-turn, he gets switch priority. I'm alright with that. I get to go ahead and switch out into Sachet. And I wasn't sure what he was going to do, so I go ahead and go for the U-turn here, hoping that he'd stay in. Of course, he's not going to. He goes for Joe Dirt, and I'm able to hit it, and it does a measly amount of damage, but it is a Choice Banded Caesar, so that's alright. Now, Excalibur comes in and is able to look at that Caesar and tell him, you ain't gonna do nothing. So Washo Ass comes in, and this thing is a pain. I get up with the spikes, and it stares me down and scares me out. So now I go into Sponge, and he goes for the Will-O-Wisp. Now, if he got that off then, he would have a lot easier time dealing with Sponge, because this thing walls it fairly well. And now Joe Dirt comes in expecting the Toxic, which I go for because I was hoping he'd stay in, try to go for another Will-O-Wisp, and then he would be a lot easier to deal with. So now I switch in Jeffrey because of the Intimidate, and that's going to keep Joe Dirt from doing pretty much anything, and it kind of can't do that much damage. So now Washo Ass comes back in, and I'm really hoping that I would have got Stealth Rocks up early, but this just doesn't work. And I taunted figuring another Will-O-Wisp would come out, because through the battle he's been predicting me fairly well and using his U-turn to get good switches in on me. So of course I get the taunt off. That works out well, and Sponge comes in and is able to take nearly anything from that. He switches out, predicting me into Technoninen, and I just switch out into Sachet. Now I get to reveal the awesome move that the Choice Band Caesar carries, which of course will not be affected by Calm Mind, and that is Pursuit. So he tries to switch out. Pursuit does double the damage to 80, and that's going to do a massive chunk to the Reuniclus. It's not going to be able to take another even if he doesn't switch out, and that's going to work out well for me. So if I can just get Caesar in on the Reuniclus, I'm going to be able to take it out. Now Joe Dirt comes in, and I don't want to go for a Pursuit on this, so I switch Jeffrey in to intimidate him again, and the U-turn comes. It's not doing that much, but it's racking up pretty fast. Luckily I have leftovers and will recover some of that HP, but Beer Pong comes in, and I'm not sure what this Jirachi wants to do, and I was kind of scared of it. So what I do here is I go for the taunt, so if it had Thunder Wave or something, it couldn't spread it around my team really quickly. But it has Body Slam, and it gets the Paralyze hacks. And now the taunt is just going to be able to keep him from setting up Stealth Rock or Wish, which is excellent for me, but still Jeffrey can't do much, because this Jirachi is just going to be able to flinch hacks me to death, and I don't want to deal with that. Now the Jirachi switches into Washo Ass, and I switch out into Excalibur, and he's been predicting me really well through this entire thing, so I'll try to predict him a little bit. He gets off the Will-O-Wisp on Excalibur. I was expecting Thunderbolt, and that didn't work out at all. But he keeps going for Will-O-Wisp, and I get up another layer of spikes, so that's going to help me take out Caesar and whatever wants to switch in. And now I figure I've baited him enough into using his electric move, and I switch out this turn. I predict right, and Sponge comes in to take that Thunderbolt like a champ, because it's a ground type, it doesn't take anything. Now the Will-O-Wisp is coming, and I was really predicting this and went for the Toxic again, because I went for it last time, and right now I was playing kind of unpredictably. I figured he'd think I'd choose the different option. So now with this Rotom Toxic, it's not quite as scary, but it's still a huge nuisance, and Beer Pong comes in, and I really can't do much. But I was trying to bait it so I could come in during the Wish. So I go for the Earthquake, and that does a pretty nice chunk of damage. I figured he was going to go ahead and hit me with something around this turn. So I go ahead and go for the Earthquake again, but he goes for the Stealth Rocks and gets those up, and that will be annoying because Gyarados isn't going to be able to take Stealth Rock's damage, really, with it being paralyzed. So I'm just going to go ahead and get off another Earthquake. Around here, he's going to Wish. And I didn't know if he wanted to wait one more turn or not, so I just stay in and hope, oh, it's kind of low, I might be able to get min-max damage luck. And that won't work out that way, as Earthquake will hit him, and it's kind of like, maybe after leftovers damage, it doesn't really look like it. He'd probably survive with a couple HP. And I just stay in, because I really do want to bait that Wish, because I want to get Heatran in with his Air Balloon, which, looking back, that's not a really great idea, because I guess I was more scared that he was going to use Body Slam and paralyze Heatran. But that doesn't happen, and now I just don't want to play these games, especially with Sponge at half health and being the only thing that can 100% block Rotom. So I switch in Heatran here, and he goes for another Wish, which I wasn't predicting, but it works out well as I get to maintain my Air Balloon. So now I can either go for a Fire Blast or Stealth Rocks or whatever, and he switches in Washoass. I went for the Fire Blast really thinking that he'd be like, oh, it's specially defensive, I should be able to take one. Doesn't work out that way, Washoass comes in. And what I should have done is get up Stealth Rocks, but, you know, theory modding. So I go ahead and switch out because I really can't lose Heatran right now. So I switch in Sachet. I don't really remember why, but it works out great as this Techna 9 comes in, and I'm able to take it out. And I believe this is the first Pokemon taken out. Now he's going to switch out because I might go for a U-turn or something weird. And that takes out the Reuniclus, and I am a happy camper here. Now it switches in Dropper, and I don't want to take a hit from this at all. So I go ahead and switch out, and he would have got the justified boost, and that wouldn't have helped me at all. So I switch in something to intimidate him, lower his attack a little bit, maybe take one fighting type move, which will have his defenses lowered. But no, he goes for the Stone Edge, and that's going to be able to take me out. At least I get in Caesar for free, and I should be able to take him out with a Bullet Punch if this is choice banded, and it is. So he switches out, and I figure, well, Superpower can hit anything on his team really well, especially if that Rotom comes in. So I go for the Superpower, and that's going to hit the Caesar, and that's going to be able to take him out. So now he's got 2 down, and that's looking great for me. Now I have this Dropper in, and at lower defenses, I don't really want to risk it, but at least he's at half health with all the residual damage he's taking. So I switch in Excalibur to be able to take most anything he could deal. He goes for the Stone Edge, and it doesn't hit. That's Haxie, but that's how Pokemon is, and the burn's going to still be annoying. So he switches out, not wanting to try to take this Skarmory out, and switches into Washoass. I figured if he was going to stay in and go for the close combats or the Stone Edges, I'd be able to hit him pretty hard with a Brave Bird. That doesn't happen. Washoass comes in and I don't do much. So I'm just going to keep playing these games, and I decide to switch out here, I believe, and he switches in his Pizza Hut. And Hydreigon's not a Pokemon I want to see, especially with Sponge in. Not at this low health, I'm not going to be able to take anything. But I figure I should be able to take Rotom out alright without him. And I really just am scared of this Hydreigon at the moment. So I go ahead and switch out, and I get to see that it's not a Life Orbed Hydreigon, which would have been awful. And this Heat Wall comes in. I didn't know what he was going to do, so I just go for the Hidden Power Ice because I was hoping he'd stay in. But that doesn't happen. No, I go for the Stealth Rocks, but I do have the Hidden Power Ice for it later. Now the Stealth Rocks are up, I'm going to get more residual damage on Rotom W. It's going to work out with the Toxic, and it should rack up. So now I switch in Excalibur because I want to keep Heatran as long as possible, and Excalibur is going to be taking a Hydro Pump not well at all and be taken out. I get a free switch in though, and I feel that's important. So I go ahead and I switch in my Flubber, which should be able to take one hit from him no matter what it is. And I was still looking at his team, and I think Focus Blast should hit anything on his team fairly hard. So I go for the Fighting type move, because really right now I can't take Fighting type moves. So that hits, and it does good amount of damage, which is way better than if I would have gone for a Psychic. So now I'm going to switch out because I don't want to risk the wish and all that, and switch into Heat Wall to force him to switch out. And he goes for the Iron Head. Who'd have figured? So that's not going to do much damage, but my air balloon pops. I was kind of guessing the Iron Head was coming, and now I just gotta see that he's going to switch out into Pizza Hut, and I just go for the Fire Blast, really hoping to get damage on that thing, hoping that he wanted to sack it. He doesn't, and the Fire Blast does a good amount of damage. Now that thing's at half health, it's not as scary. I stay in, hoping that the Hidden Power Ice will scare it or something. Actually, I was hoping that he'd go for the Draco Meteor trying to take me out. I go for the Hidden Power Ice. That's not going to do much to Rotom W at all, but it's still damage on it, and that's what I'm wanting at the moment. I need to figure out a way to take out this Rotom W, especially with my Gastrodon gone. So I go for the Fire Blast, and that's going to bring him pretty low. And the Hydro Pump's coming, I know, and I just didn't know what to do here, really. So I just sacked Heat Wall. And that just means I'm going to be able to come in for free with something. And I still wasn't sure what set this was, so I figured he had Hidden Power instead of Pain Split. Right now I'm proven wrong, as he takes most of my HP, gives it to himself. And now we're both at 242, but Focus Blast is going to be able to hit anything on his team hard, and I'm still going to be able to hit that Rotom pretty well, and the toxic damage is racking up enough that I'm going to be able to take him out really soon, especially if he doesn't switch out. So with this health, he figures he's not going to be able to survive much longer. He goes for the Hydro Pump, trying to take me out. Being specially defensive, I take it, and I get off the Focus Blast, take him out, and that will bring him down to an easier place for me to take him out. So now, with Flubber sitting here all awesome like, Pizza Hut comes in, and I make a really dumb play, but luckily it doesn't hurt me. I switch out Flubber for my last poke, which is Caesar, because he was at high health, and I was thinking, if he goes for Fire Blast, he's going to outspeed me twice, and that Jirachi is going to be able to take 2 Bullet Punches. So I figured I had to come in, go for the Bullet Punch, and take out the Jirachi if it switches in. He switches into Jirachi, and at this point you can tell that the spikes and stealth rock damage is going to be enough for me to take it out with 1 Bullet Punch. So I get to sweep his team with a Bullet Punch. And that is the good game. I won basically out of luck. If he would have gone for Fire Blast there, I would have been screwed. But that's how the game goes. He played an excellent game, and I'd like to battle him again. And this is the end of the battle. Dropper is this last Pokemon, and I will see you guys later. I hope you enjoy the music. It's one of my favorite songs from Pokemon. It just reminds me of Ludicolo, though. So, I will see you guys later.